Hey guys! Today I'm going to show you how to crochet this checkered sweater. This is a classic design and the structure is quite simple. We're going to make a back panel which is pretty much a square and the front panel with the neckline shaping, 2 sleeves, and then we join all of them together and that's pretty much it. As to the stitches that I used, it's mainly double crochets and a little bit single crochets here. This is the yarn I used. It's an 8-ply yarn, 100% acrylic. And it calls for a 4mm crochet hook. This is the color Pasture, and this is Hawthorn, but for the sake of the tutorial, I'm gonna call this green and this brown. By the way, in case you didn't know, 2 skeins are not enough for a sweater. I used about 3.5 skeins of this one and 4 skeins of this. And like I said, the yarn calls for a 4mm crochet hook, and that's what I'm going to be using. So first we're going to make 2 panels, one front, one back. This is one of the panels I'm making and I'm starting from the bottom ribbing. So for the bottom ribbing, we're going to start here, foundation chain, and then we're going to work our rows in this direction. All the way to the other side. So as you can see, the rows is the width of one panel. And then after that, we're going to work the checkered part. We're going to work our rows in this way. So first, I'm going to show you how to make the ribbing. We're going to begin with the slip knots. I just make a circle like this. And then pull this yarn, but not all the way through. Create a loop like this. Insert your hook. Tighten the loop, and then yarn over, pull it through the loop on the hook. That is chain 1. Yarn over again, chain 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the width of the ribbing. 5 chains. And then we're going to work double crochets like that. So as you can see, my first double crochet looks like this. It's very similar to a normal double crochet. If you've done crochet before, you might know at the beginning of a double crochet row, we usually chain 2 to substitute for a double crochet. But I'm going to show you a different method. It's going to make the edge of the double crochet rows look better. So instead of chain 2, I'm going to work my first double crochet in the 5th chain. So I will chain 1 first. Chain 1. And then go to the 5th chain, which is the 2nd chain from the hook. 1, 2. From this end is the 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to go in that one, in this loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, two loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2. This is a single crochet, and you can see I have 2 vertical loops here. I'm going to insert my hook in the left vertical loop and make another single crochet. So I just yarn over and pull yarn through this loop. Two loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through 2. So this is my first double crochet. I'm going to mark this stitch. If you're very new to this method, you should definitely mark this stitch. So I'm just going to place my marker in the, if you pull it like that, it's the top 2 loops of the stitch. And then I'm going to work one normal double crochet in each of the following chain. To work a normal double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook in the next chain, that one, yarn over, pull it up, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's the normal double crochet. This special one is only made as the first stitch of each row. The rest will make it like this. So yarn over again in the next chain, make another double crochet, insert your hook in the next chain, pull the yarn up, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, insert your hook in the next chain, pull it up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, this is the last chain. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull it up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so this is row 1, which is this one. And then row 2, like that. Now we're going to begin row 2. Like I said before, the very first stitch, the very first double crochet is made like this. So I'm just going to turn my work, and from row 2, we're only going to work in the back loop only. So we have this ribbed effect. So as you can see, that stitch, I marked it. That was the first stitch, now it's the last stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I still have 5 stitches. So the first one is that. Okay, like I said before, we're going to work in the back loop, which is this one. This is the back loop. And the first stitch, now that we already have a row before, we don't need to chain 1 anymore. We just directly insert our hook in the stitch. And from this row, we're going to work in the back loop, so just insert in the back loop only. Yarn over, pull it up, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. And then in the left vertical loop, we've done this before, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, and yarn over, pull through 2. That's the first stitch of row 2. I'm gonna mark this stitch again. Just place a marker in the top 2 loops. And then I'm gonna yarn over, work 1 double crochet in the back loop of each of the following stitches. So in this stitch, which is the next stitch, back loop only, pull yarn up, pull through 2, pull through 2. Continue doing this. The last stitch is this one. So again, I'm going to work in the back loop only. Work a double crochet. And that's it, row 2 done. From here, we're just going to repeat row 2. So repeat row 2. Next row, turn your work. Directly go in the first stitch back loop. Make a single crochet. right? So you just like pull one loop up, yarn over, pull through 2. And then in the left vertical loop, make another single crochet. So insert in the left vertical loop, yarn over, pull yarn through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now you can take out this stitch marker in row 1 and place it in the new first stitch of row 3. And then you work 1 double crochet in the back loop of each of the following stitches. Don't miss your last stitch. Make sure you always have 5 stitches for each row. So you just continue working your rows back and forth like that until you reach row 50. I'll see you here. So that is 1 row. That's row 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 30, 2, 4, 6, 8, 40, 2, 4, 6, 8, 50. 50 rows. Okay, so now I have 50 rows. This is gonna be the front panel and this is gonna be the back panel. The front panel, as you can see, we will have 5 columns, starting with brown. So brown, green, brown, green, brown. And the back panel is gonna be the opposite in color. So the back panel is going to be, here will be green, brown, green, brown, green. So when we join them together, this will be green, so it will follow the color pattern. So it will be green here for the back panel, brown for the front panel. I'll show you how to change color here later, but first I'll show you how to work the stitches. I'm going to show you first work in green color, so this will be the back panel. First, how to work the stitches in green color because it's a bit easier than changing color here and then work the stitches. Also, the yarn is a bit dark, so I'll show you in green so you can see what I'm doing. So remember, this is the back panel. After I finish the 5th stitch, last stitch for row 50, I'm going to begin working in this direction. And I'm still going to work double crochets. For each double crochet row, I'm going to work 2 double crochets. So I'm going to work 2 double crochets here, 1, 2 here, and 2 double crochets here for the next row, 1, 2, and then 2 here for this row, 2 for this row, and continue like that. And since I'm going to be working the first stitch for this row, I'm gonna make the special double crochet here. This is the same stitch you did at the beginning for all these rows. So you should be familiar with it now. The first one I'm gonna work in here. So insert my hook and work that special double crochet. Left vertical loop, 1 more single crochet. I'm going to continue marking it. And the second double crochet is going to be worked here. Yarn over. I'm going to insert in the top 2 loops here. So like that. And a double crochet. And it doesn't really matter how many loops you insert into. You can insert in 1 loop or 2 loops like me. But the important thing is working 2 double crochets for each row. I'm going to take this stitch marker out. Now 2 double crochets here. I don't really like this big hole, so I'm going to include this loop with it together when I insert my hook. It's up to you, you can do this, but I personally prefer to do it like that. So just include this loop as well. And a double crochet. So that's the third one. One more for this row. I'm going to insert here. Again, I'm going to grab 2 loops. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 for the first 2 rows. And then from the next row, as you can see, these 2 are the same as these 2. So that just means I'm going to insert in roughly the same place. So the first one I'm going to insert here. One, second one here. Two, 3, 4. So the first 20 stitches is in green, but I'm gonna do the first 19 stitches because on number 20 we need to change color. So now I have 19 stitches, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 19. So I need to change color in the next stitch. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And then change color here. When you have the last 2 loops on your hook, this is where you change color for double crochets. So then you just grab the new color. For me is this one. And then you just pull it through to complete the stitch. Now we're going to be working in brown color, but we still need to carry the green color with us in the stitches because after the brown stitches we're going to be working in green again. So if you leave your yarn tail here after you move forward working your stitches in brown, your yarn would be back here. The green yarn will be back here. But if you carry it in the stitches, you can just grab the green yarn from here and continue working your stitches. This tail here, we're also going to carry it in the work, but that's just because it's easier to work it in the stitches, so you don't have to weave it in later. So basically, we need to work this brown yarn and carry these ones. And to carry the yarns, very easy, you just put them against your stitches. You just treat them as one. So I'm going to continue working double crochets like that, 2 double crochets for each row. The stitches, everything is the same. The only difference is we changed the color here. So the first stitch is going to be there. I'm going to insert my hook in there. And to carry the yarns, you just put them on your hook. Like that. Not like that, but on your hook. With this edge. And then you yarn over, pull yarn up, double crochet. And then you just continue doing that. Next stitch, make sure the 2 yarns are on your hook. Double crochet. So I'll continue working like this and work another 19 stitches in brown, and we'll come back and change to green together again. Okay, so this is 19 again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 19. We're going to change color again in this stitch. The brown yarn is already covered in the work, so it's not here anymore. It stopped somewhere here. The green yarn, we are going to carry it 1 more stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook. Still carry this green yarn. Pull it up. 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2. Now you're going to drop the brown yarn and grab the green. You can grab it from either way, here or here, it doesn't matter. But I'm gonna get it from behind like this, behind the brown yarn. Yarn over, pull through 2 to finish this stitch. And then we're going to do this again. Work 20 stitches in green, carrying the brown yarn. So the first stitch is here. Carry the brown only. Okay, so I'm just going to continue working like this. Again, still 2 double crochets for each double crochet row, and alternate between green and brown. Work 20 stitches each, changing color in the last stitch. And when you work one color, carry the other color. So that means 20 green, 20 brown, and then change to green, 20 green again. Actually, when you get here, you don't need to keep carrying the brown because the next row is going to be in the same color. So we're going to work brown on top of brown, green on top of green. So these are going to be green stitches, and then when you work your way back, these are green as well, and then brown. So there's no use for us to carry the brown yarn to the end and then all the way back, just for it to be here when we work the next brown stitches. So when I have the last 2 loops left, I'm gonna drop brown, pick up green, finish this stitch. And now we need to assign one side to be the right side. So that is the side that is shown to people. The wrong side would be the side that people couldn't see. So I want this side to be my right side. How I can always remember this is the right side is I can find this little tail here from the beginning chain. When the tail is on the left side of the panel, I have the right side facing me. So I will always drop my yarn to the wrong side. This is the right side. I will drop my yarn to the back, which is the wrong side of the panel. And then from here, I'm going to work double crochets, 2 stitches for each row, 20 stitches in green. I'll see you at the end. The last stitch is going to be here. Now you should have 100 stitches for this row. You can double check. So row 2, on top of the colors, we're going to work the same color. So green on top of green, brown on top of brown. I'm going to directly turn my work. For these rows, we worked in the back loop only because it's a ribbing. From this row, it's not ribbing anymore, so we're gonna start working in the top 2 loops. Again, my first double crochet is gonna be the special double crochet, but instead of inserting in the back loop, I'm gonna insert in both loops, like that. And then I'm gonna work that special double crochet. I'm gonna mark it. And then from here, 1 double crochet in each stitch in both loops. So I'm gonna work my double crochets here. I'll see you in this stitch and we'll change color together again. Okay, so here I have 1 green stitch left. This is stitch I'm gonna change to brown. So from the next stitch I can work in brown. So I'm gonna begin working my double crochet normally. When I have the last 2 loops left, I'm gonna grab this brown yarn and complete this stitch. By the way, now we have the wrong side facing. And then from the next stitch, work in brown, 1 double crochet in each stitch. But now I'm gonna carry the other color, which is green. So I'm gonna work brown, carrying green, green carrying brown, brown carrying green again. And here again, because we're gonna work green stitches back and forth, I'm gonna drop the brown yarn here. I'll see you here. Okay, so again here I have 1 brown stitch left. In this stitch, I'm gonna change color. So when I have 2 loops left on my hook, I'm gonna drop brown. Now I have the wrong side facing me because I don't have a tail on my left side. If I have the tail on my left side, this is the right side. If I don't, this is the wrong side. So I'll always drop my yarn to the wrong side, like I said before. So I'll drop brown to this side, which is the wrong side, and then I'll pick up green, finish this stitch, begin working double crochets in green without carrying brown. And then from here, we just do the same thing. We work double crochets to the end and turn our work our way back, change to brown, and then change to green, brown, green. So I'm gonna work 10 rows like this. This is row 2, 1, 2. I'm gonna work 10 rows, so it's a square, and then I'm gonna swap this color to make it checkered. And remember, after the second brown, so if you're working on this side, first brown, second brown, you're gonna drop it. If you work on the other side, first brown, second brown, you drop the brown yarn here as well. Okay, so I'm gonna continue working back and forth, switching color like this, and work 10 rows in total. I'll see you at the end of row 10. In case I wasn't clear about this part, the marked stitch is the last stitch you should work your double crochet into. And then you just turn your work in 2 loops. Begin with a special double crochet and then normal double crochets. And when I need to change color, I'm gonna do that again here. So I'll see you after 10 rows. So this is the end of row 10. Row 11, we need to swap the colors. So after brown, green, we're gonna start with brown, like that. So that means after I change color, I will need to carry the brown to the end. So the next row I can start with it. So for this row, this is gonna be different. The rows before, we always drop it to the wrong side, but row 10, we're going to carry the brown yarn. So I'm gonna finish my last stitch. Carry the brown yarn. When I have 2 loops left, drop green, pick up brown, and finish this stitch. Then I'll turn my work and start with brown, but at the same time carry green. So work with brown, but you need to carry the green yarn. Make the first special double crochet. And then from here, continue working, carrying the green yarn. So from here, we're gonna work a brown square, green, brown, green, brown. So this row is gonna be brown here. You're gonna work in brown, carry green, switch to green, working green, carry brown, working brown, carry green, working green, carry brown. And just like before, between the 4th and the 5th square, when you finish green, as you change color here to brown, you're going to drop your green yarn here because this square is going to be brown. There's no green here, so you drop your green yarn here, brown, brown, and then when you come back, you can switch back to green and work this square, this row in green. And when you drop this yarn, again make sure you drop it to the wrong side. I have my tail here, so this is the right side. I need to drop it to the other side. So it's the same technique, the only difference is we swap the colors. So now instead of dropping brown yarn here, we're going to be dropping the green yarn. That's 10 rows. After I switch the colors, I'm going to work another 10 rows like that, and then I'll switch color again, another 10 rows, and then switch again, another 10 rows. So I'm thinking 40 rows together for the back panel for now, but I'll finish my back panel and then I'll show you what I've done. But if it's not 40 rows, it's probably 50 rows because I can only stop after every 10 rows, so the checkered pattern is complete. So I've done 40 rows here. That's 4 rows of squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in case I wasn't clear before, every 10th row here, you're going to carry this yarn, this color, carry it here so you can start here. And it's the same for the second row of square. When you reach here with green yarn, you're going to carry it so you can begin with this color again, the next row. And this happens every 10th row. So that's when the next row begins with the opposite color, you carry the yarn across. And for this one, because this is the last row, I don't need to carry the green yarn, I just left it here and then cut. And here, after you finish the last stitch, you're going to chain 1 and pull this yarn, leave a long tail. This is for sewing up the shoulders later. And I'm gonna leave about that length cut here and pull it through. And there is the back panel done. Now for the front panel, you're also going to make 50 rows, but at the last stitch of row 50, we're going to change color because the first square is brown. So in this last stitch, back loop, because this is ribbing, work my double crochet until I have 2 loops left, and then I grab the new color, leave some tail, yarn over, pull through, finish the stitch. And then when I work my stitches this way, I'm going to carry both of them. This brown tail to hide it in the work, this green tail because later we're going to be working green stitches. So just like before, I'm going to insert my hook here, work in brown, make the first special double crochet, and then I'm going to work 2 stitches for every double crochet row just like before. Remember to carry these 2 yarns. That's the second double crochet. And then 2 double crochets for the next row. Insert my hook, carry the yarns like that. And then I'll work 19 stitches. At number 20, you're going to change color again. In this case, drop brown, pick up green. Finish the stitch and then continue carrying brown yarn and work double crochets in green. So stitch wise, it's exactly the same as the back panel, but the colors are swapped. So this is brown, this is green, this is brown, green, and just like between the 4th and the 5th square, after you work in green stitches, you're going to drop the green here, work in brown, back, pick up green, and continue working. And then after 10 rows in that color pattern, swap the colors, do another 10 rows, and then you just keep repeating that. So for the front panel, you're going to work 3 rows of square. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to place the back panel at the back. This is the front panel. For the front panel, we need to make a neckline, and it's shaped like this. So from here, go like that, and then go straight up. So that means we're not going to have any stitches here. So again, from here, go diagonally, and then straight up. So that means we're not going to have any stitches here, but we're going to have stitches here and on this side as well. So that means for the 4th square, because we don't have any stitches here, we can go across. We need to finish one shoulder back and forth first, and then rejoin the yarn on the other side, and then go back and forth, finish the other shoulder. So as you can see, because this is slanted, we need to do decreases here. I'll show you how to do that. So like I said before, 1, 2, 3, 3 rows, and the decrease is going to happen here. For the first 20 stitches, I did the same thing, carry the brown yarn across, and here I can drop the green yarn because for the rest of this row, we're just going to work in brown, decrease, turn, brown again, come back, pick up the green yarn. We don't need to carry it back and forth. So because this is the front side, I have my tail here. This is going to be the right side of the sweater. I'm going to leave this yarn at the back, which is the wrong side, and then continue working in brown. And I'm going to do 18 stitches in brown and then decrease over the last 2 stitches. So now I have my last 2 stitches left. We're going to make a double crochet 2 together. Since we happen to be using this color for demonstration, I'm going to go a bit slower to make sure you can see. So for the double crochet 2 together, we're going to begin as usual, yarn over, insert our hook, and pull yarn up just as usual. 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through the first 2 loops. 1, 2. So now as you can see, I haven't finished this stitch because I'm going to work this stitch with this stitch together, so they're one stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook in the next stitch again, yarn over, pull it up. Okay, now I have 4 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. Now I have 3 loops on my hook. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through all of them. Okay, so as you can see, we worked 1 stitch over 2 stitches. That's a decrease. So for this square, instead of 20 stitches, I have 19 stitches in brown. After that, I'm just going to turn and begin my next row. This decrease thing, we're going to do it every row on this side. So when you work in that direction, do the decrease last, but when you work in this direction, do the decrease first. In this pattern, beginning with a double crochet 2 together is a bit different from ending with a double crochet 2 together, because our beginning first stitch is a special double crochet. So remember how we began the first double crochet? You're going to insert in the very first stitch, yarn over, pull it up, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we're going to insert in the left vertical loop and yarn over, pull it through 1 loop only, and then if we want to finish this stitch, we yarn over and pull through 2. But we're going to work this stitch with the next stitch together so that we have a double crochet 2 together at the beginning of this row. So that means I don't finish this stitch, I just directly yarn over, go in the next stitch, yarn over, pull that yarn up, 4 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, and 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 3. And here I strongly recommend you mark the first stitch, which is the top 2 loops. And then from the next stitch, we're going to work normal double crochets, 1 double crochet in each stitch. So continue working your double crochet to here. You're going to switch to green, drop brown because we don't need it anymore, switch to green, work in green, and then that's the end of row 2. Turn your work, begin working row 3 in green, work to here, and then you're going to pick up brown from here, and then work in brown. I'll see you near the end of row 3. Okay, so here I'm working row 3, picking up the brown yarn, and then I'm dropping the green yarn on the wrong side, continue with brown. I'm going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch to the very last 2 stitches. So because I marked this stitch, I know this is the last one. That's 1, 2 stitches. I'm going to work a decrease over these 2 stitches. So 1 double crochet in this one, and then a double crochet 2 together over these 2 stitches. So yarn over, insert my hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull it up, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over directly in the very last stitch, which is marked, yarn over, pull it up, 4 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 3. Okay, and then I'm going to turn again, just like before. I'm going to decrease at the beginning of row 4. So insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, as usual. Go in the left vertical loop, pull yarn up, and don't finish this stitch. Yarn over again, directly go in the second stitch, yarn over, pull it up, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over, pull through 3. Again, I'm going to mark this stitch. And then from the next stitch, 1 double crochet in each stitch. And then you do the same thing here, switch to green, drop brown, green to the end, and then back, pick up brown, and continue working. When you have 2 stitches left, you're going to work a double crochet 2 together near the end, and then you would have 5 rows. From row 6, we're going to stop decreasing. We just work this edge straight up like that. So let me finish. This is row 4, and then come back. That's row 5. I'll see you at the end of row 5. Okay, so end of row 5, I just finished a double crochet 2 together. It's the same thing as these 2 that we did. And then row 6 to row 10, I'm going to stop decreasing. So I'm just going to work 1 double crochet in each stitch, back and forth all the way to the end. So turn my work and work a special double crochet as usual, finish it, and then from the next stitch, 1 double crochet in each stitch, work to here, switch color, green, finish this row, go back, switch to brown, finish this row, 1 double crochet in each stitch, no more decrease from this row. So this edge will go straight up like that. And I'm gonna work 5 more rows after this, making it a total of 10 rows. And that's one of the shoulders. And when you finish row 10, so row 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you will end on this side, and then you just fasten off like you did for the front panel, chain 1, leave some length, and then cut the yarn. Also for these rows, where you're not decreasing on this edge, you should have 15 stitches in this color. If you don't have 15 stitches here, you might have done the decrease wrong here. So when you finish the 10 rows, by the way, this edge is shaped like this. After the last stitch, chain 1, pull yarn through, leave some length and cut it. And you can also cut this one. So that's one shoulder. So this is a center square. We just finished one shoulder. I'm going to do the other one, but we're going to begin from here. So I'm going to attach my yarn here because this row we worked in that direction. So the next row is in this direction. I'm going to attach my yarn here. So on top of this square would be this color. You're going to make a slip knot. And then attach your yarn in the very first stitch here. Make a double crochet 2 together over the first 2 stitches. So I'm going to insert my hook in the very first stitch. Grab this slip knot and pull it through. Chain 1. Tighten it. And then insert my hook back in the very first stitch. I'm going to carry this yarn tail as well. So insert in the first stitch, yarn over, pull it up, yarn over, pull through two vertical loops, insert in the left one only, yarn over, pull it up, 2 loops left, because we're going to work a double crochet 2 together, so I didn't finish this first stitch. I'm going to yarn over, directly go in the very next stitch. Don't forget to carry the yarn tail, yarn over, pull it up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. Mark this stitch. And then from the next stitch, 1 double crochet in each stitch. And then here, we don't have a green yarn, so I'm going to join the green yarn here. I'm just going to grab a new yarn tail, pull it through. Here I need to first drop brown. When I work the green stitches, I'm going to carry the green yarn tail with me, like that. So I'm going to carry this yarn, work in green to the end, come back, change color, drop green, pick up brown, and then continue working. And here we will need to make a double crochet 2 together again. So when you have the last 2 stitches, the last stitch is marked. When you have the last 2 stitches, you're going to make a double crochet 2 together decrease, and then you turn again, begin with a double crochet 2 together decrease like this. So that row is row 3 because this is row 1, 2, and you start row 3 with a decrease, row 4 end with a decrease, row 5 start with a decrease again, and then you have 5 rows here, from row 6 to row 10, again no decrease. So row 6, when you come back, don't decrease. Row 6 to row 10, 1 double crochet in each stitch, no decrease. When you finish row 10, you should be on this side, but here you just fasten off normally. You don't need to leave a long tail because we already have a long tail here to sew up this shoulder and another long tail from the back panel for the other shoulder, so we don't need the yarn from here. So here you just fasten off normally, don't need to leave too much length. So this is what the front panel looks like, and you have your back panel here. Now we're going to join them at the shoulder seam. Before that, figure out which side is the right side. We're going to sew the shoulder from the wrong side. So you're going to have your wrong side on the outside. As you can see, this is my wrong side. That's the right. And this side is going to be on the outside. Let me check the front panel. That's the wrong side as well. So I have my wrong side of the front panel here, wrong side of the back panel here. Now I'm going to join them at the shoulders. So I have my yarn here. I'm going to insert in the first stitch here, in the top 2 loops. This stitch of yours might be marked. And then insert in the first stitch on this side. Grab the yarn, pull it through, and chain 1. And then I'm just gonna make 1 slip stitch in each pair of stitches. So I'm gonna insert in the second stitch in the top 2 loops, second stitch on this side as well, top 2 loops, yarn over, slip stitch, Just pull it through all the loops you have. And then continue doing that. Next stitch, top 2 loops. Next stitch, top 2 loops as well. Yarn over, pull it up, and pull through that 1 loop on your hook. Okay, so this is basically how you're going to join the shoulders. If you didn't leave enough yarn like me, you can find this quick tutorial here to show you how to join the yarns. So now that I joined my yarn, I can just continue with the shoulder seam. So on the second square, I should have 5 stitches of this color left. So that should be joined with the last stitch here. That's 1 stitch. I'm going to finish this stitch. Chain 1 and cut. Here you can leave enough length for you to weave it in later. The other shoulder, you're going to use this yarn tail, do the same thing, just sew it up together. And then you're going to make 2 sleeves. They are very similar to the back panels. So, remember for the front and back panel, we did 50 rows of back loop double crochets. For the sleeves, we're going to do half of that, which is 25 rows. So you do 25 rows. The back panel, we begin with 20, and then switch color 20, 20, then 20, 20. So 100 stitches. The sleeves, one of them, we're going to do 5, and then switch. Do 20, 20, and then end with 5. The technique is the same. The only difference is the stitch number each row. And then you do the same thing. Do not carry this green color. Work in brown. Come back and pick it up. Work in green. Switch, switch. And the same thing happens on every 10th row. So when you carry brown, work green to here. And switch to brown, you're going to carry green because the next row begins with green. Okay? And then you do 3 rows of squares instead of 4 rows like the front and back panels. So 1, 2, 3. Fasten off. That's 1 sleeve done. And the other sleeve, the color is the opposite. So you'd still begin with 25 rows of double crochets. And then you switch color here, do 5 stitches of brown first, and then 20 stitches, 20 stitches, 5 stitches of green. Again, every row you're going to drop brown, but on the 10th rows, carry this color across. So you can start with the color in the next row, and the same thing, 3 rows of squares. So after the shoulder seam, we do the sleeves. This is the front panel, back panel, neckline, both on its wrong side still. Only one of these 2 sleeves will match this. So that should be the sleeves where you changed color right after the ribbing. So this is not it. Should be this one. This one. As you can see, I started with the ribbing, and then for the first 5 stitches of row 1, I immediately switched color. So this sleeve should be joined with this shoulder. So this is the right side. I need to flip it because we join everything. We do the seams from the wrong side. So that's the wrong side. And this is how it's going to be attached to the shoulder. Let me move everything to the right. So it looks like that. As the shoulder seam, that line is the center of the sleeve. So if you do it like this, the color pattern will match. And when it's actually a sweater, it will look like this, like that. And as you can see, that's the sleeves. So back panel, front panel, shoulder seam, sleeve. Since the yarn I left earlier comes from this end, I'm going to turn the whole thing like that. So that would be joined with this, and we have 5 stitches here. These 5 stitches would be joined with 1, 2, and half of the 3rd row. Okay, so I'm gonna find 1 row, 2 row, 3rd row. I'm gonna insert my hook in the center of this row, and then insert in the first stitch on the back panel. Grab the yarn, do the same thing. We're still gonna do slip stitches. The only difference is this is a different edge. These are proper stitches and these are not. So I first pull yarn through and chain 1. And I have 4 stitches here in brown. I'm gonna join 2 with this row, the other 2 with the next row. So I'm going to insert like that, pull yarn up and slip stitch. Next stitch on the other side. Two stitches left, 1 row. Okay, then the next square. So from here, you're just going to join every 2 stitches with 1 row of double crochet. The first stitch in green on the side, slip stitch. A second stitch for this row here. And then next stitch on the other side, slip stitch. So continue doing this, join every 2 stitches with 1 double crochet row. I'll see you at the end of the row. Okay, so I'm near the end of the row. I joined these 2 rows to the 4 stitches here. I have 1 last stitch left. I'm going to insert around here in the middle of the 3rd row. Last stitch. You can see that's the last stitch. Top 2 loops, slip stitch, and chain 1, pull yarn through. So that's one side of the sleeve done. Now you're gonna fold it again from the wrong side like that, along the shoulder seam, because as you can see we still have one last seam to do, which is on the side of the panels. From the bottom here, go all the way up to the underarm, and then under the sleeve to the cuff. So you can start from either side. You can start from here or here. Join the edges together using either color of the yarns. And when you join, make sure the colors match. Like that, to make sure they match. you should always join one color with the opposite color and join them row to row. So one row to one row on this side, second row to the second row on this side. So if I start from the cuff, I can join my yarn here, join the first 5 stitches, and then these 10 rows to these 10 rows in the opposite color together. Do that. Get to the underarm, and then turn, and continue joining the edges together. And then the last 5 stitches as well, fasten off here. So do that. That's one side done. For the other sleeve, you do the same thing. Get the wrong side of the sleeve and then join it like that. Shoulder seam. So join it to 2.5 rows from here, and then these to these, these to these, and then 2 rows and a half to these 5 stitches. Fasten off and do the same thing for the underarm and the side seam as well. So I'm gonna attach this sleeve and finish the seam here and on this side as well. If you need to attach your yarn, it's very easy. You first make a slip knot and then insert in the first stitch of both edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna insert here. And then the first stitch of this edge as well. You pull the yarn through and chain 1. And from the next stitch, you can start working slip stitches. So insert in the next stitch, and next stitch on this side as well. And slip stitch, next stitch, slip stitch again. So this is how you attach the yarn and start your slip stitches. When you finish both of the sleeves, turn the sweater inside out. We're going to do the neckline from the right side. For the neckline, we're going to begin from the center back and do 1 round of single crochets to build a foundation of the neckline ribbing. For the neckline, I'm gonna match my cuff and bottom ribbing's color, which is green. Make a slip knot, and then find the center of the back panel. So for this square, I have 20 stitches. I have 2 stitches that's at the center. I'm gonna insert in the left one and attach my yarn. And then I'm gonna begin making single crochets in each stitch. I'm gonna insert back in the same stitch, carry the yarn tail, and then yarn over, pull it up, yarn over, pull through 2 to make a single crochet, mark the stitch, and then just 1 single crochet in the top 2 loops of each stitch. So again, you insert your hook, carry the yarn, yarn over, pull it up, and then yarn over, pull through 2. So I'm gonna see you here at the shoulder seam. Okay, so as you can see, I made a single crochet here. The next stitch is already joined with the front panel, so I'm not gonna make a stitch there. I'm just gonna insert in the seam here and make one more single crochet like that. And then turn my work, and as you can see, the front panel, first we have 5 rows of a straight edge, and then we have a slanted edge here. I'm gonna do the same thing as before. I'm gonna work 2 single crochets, 2 stitches for each double crochet row. So 2 single crochets, next row 2 single crochets, and the same thing here for the slanted edge, 2 single crochets for each double crochet row. Yeah, so basically this is what I'm gonna do. 2 single crochets for each row. I have 10 rows here, so 20 single crochets, and then turn 20 single crochets here, 1 single crochet in each stitch, because we have 20 stitches. That's why we're gonna work 20 single crochets here. And then you turn your work again, 2 single crochets for each double crochet row, so 10 rows again. That means 20 single crochets, and turn your work. I should have 5 stitches in this color that is not joined with the front panel, so starting with this one, 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way to the beginning. I'll see you when I come back to the beginning of the round. Okay, so I'm at my last stitch here. Make a single crochet, and then I'm gonna slip stitch in the very first stitch, which is marked. So insert my hook in the top 2 loops of the first stitch and slip stitch. So this round is like the foundation of the ribbing. If we just directly use the green color and work the ribbing, this might not look neat enough. But now if we work the ribbing in green, we have this foundation line that looks pretty nice. So what I'm going to use for the neckline ribbing is back loop single crochets. So basically I'm going to work a chain here and then work back loop single crochets back and forth along this line like that. So I'm working back loop single crochets, but every time I work my row in this direction, I'm going to attach that row to this edge, and that's how you can work the ribbing while attach your ribbing to the edge at the same time. And I do have a tutorial on that showing you how to make a ribbing on stitches like this. I'm going to do the same thing as I did in that video, so I'm not going to repeat it here, but the foundation chain here determines the thickness of the ribbing, and since my cuff and bottom ribbing is just 5 stitches, I'm going to chain 5 here as well. And that is going to be the length of the ribbing. If you want it to be thicker, you can chain a bit more, and then you just do what I did in that video. And also every time I come back towards the edge, I'm gonna slip stitch twice, which is 1 slip stitch in each of the following next 2 stitches. You'll know what I mean if you watch that video. So I'm gonna finish my neckline ribbing, and I'm gonna see you back here. So when I finish the neckline, it looks like this. You will have some yarn tails that you need to weave in, but other than that, this is pretty much it. Your sweater is done.